Hi, I'm Borys from Strix. Today we are at the Lynka headquarters. We'll show you the case study, how we implemented Magento in Lynka and how we helped Lynka to digitalize their sales process using Magento. Our host today is John, CEO of Lynka. John, if you could say a few words about Lynka history, what you are doing, what is your B2B business about?
Sure, thanks. Great to be here with you, Borys. So I'm John Lynch, founder and CEO of Lynka. It's a company I founded in 1992 here in Krakow, Poland. In more recent years, as the world has gone digital, we too at Lynka are making great strides in that area. Lynka is a company that makes corporate clothing, promotional clothing, workwear for companies. So anything which is a piece of clothing or accessory with a corporate or some sort of graphic image, that's what we've been doing since the very beginning. We have a factory just outside of Krakow in Skawina. It's about 10,000 square meters. We employ about 250 people, and we sell in 25 countries across Europe. So we have multilingual clients all over Europe with different requirements, and building a B2B web platform that would support our needs for today and for the next 10 years, let's say, was the mission that I gave, or rather the mission impossible that I gave Borys over a year ago.
Today we'll try to show people who are watching us how the typical process looks like, so how it looks on your side in the factory, and also what happened with the Magento, how we implemented and how we integrated Magento. So if you could say in few words some example how a typical Lynka customer, what are the needs of that type of customer?
Sure, of course. So the tricky thing in our business is that every single order is customized. There's no two orders that are the same. In a given day, we might have 500 different orders, 20 t-shirts with a school logo and 500 polo shirts with an embroidery of another company's uniform. And everyone has to be done right, and everyone has about 30 different steps in the order placement, order processing, and production process. There's a lot of ways to screw things up, and the systems have to be done just right in order that the client is happy at the end. So in the particular example we're going to look at today, we have a client, it's in Poland, a very famous one, Energylandia, which is the largest amusement park in Central Europe. And they had a press conference where they needed shirts, extremely fast turnaround time. So the typical order before the digital age was a sales rep talking to the client on the phone or visiting and deciding what the client needs. In this particular case, we wanted to build a system where the client can go in and do the whole process from A to Z themselves. And in this example, the client told us they wanted t-shirts with a particular image representing the launch of their water park. They wanted to put some custom wording underneath the image, and they wanted to do 20 pieces. They had other specific requirements. It had to be organic t-shirts. It needed to be a certain color, and it had to be short sleeves and a certain fit. So all of those criteria were what the client explained they need, and we're going to demonstrate later how that order would be placed using our new platform. So it's product, it's color, it's image, its number of pieces, its sizes, it's an entire list of specifications for every order, even an order which is 20 pieces due tomorrow. Okay, so in the example with Energylandia, they had a particular image they wanted to print. This is what it is. It's an anchor representing their water park, and they want to put some words below it. But the more tricky part is the choice of the shirt. This is the Lynka hard catalog. It's got about 400 pages. It's got hundreds of products, of t-shirts, etc. And if we put all of them on a website, well, then we're talking about really tens of thousands of products to choose from. Here in front of me are the catalogs of some of the brands that we represent. And you can see that the volume of the offer is just imposing. So an intelligent search tool is critical for the success. Now we're going to go to the Lynka warehouse and show you how the product and order process works in real life.
Okay, let's go to the warehouse.
Let's go to the warehouse. So one of the challenges for Lynka business-wise is that we have a tremendously wide offer of products. We have 25 different brands. Each has hundreds of different styles of clothing, t-shirts, polos, jackets, polar fleece, baseball caps. And if you add that all together, you end up with about 200,000 SKUs of product. So what might seem like a pretty basic fundamental choice is we want to buy some t-shirts, actually is a pretty complex transaction. The client, if they look at our offer, they'll actually find 590 different types of t-shirts. So it's a problem. And one of the missions of our web project was helping our sales force and our clients make order of this incredibly diverse product range. For the specific order we have today, this 20 t-shirt order, the client didn't just say, we want some t-shirts. They had specific requirements, certain fabric, certain size, certain color. And we need to be able to sort through this massive amount of data in order to come up with the perfect choice for the client.
So the challenge during the implementation that we had was an enormous amount of products, 200,000 SKUs, the products that are not prepared for the digital sales. So for example, you can imagine that each of these different supplier has a different attributes. So the t-shirt can be blue, it can be dark blue, it can be navy blue, and all other types of blue. So we started with preparing an efficient architecture, starting with the PIM solution Ergonote, where Ergonote is a separate instance responsible for getting the data from the ERP system, enriching the data and preparing the data for the sales in Magento. The main goal which we had was to automate this process, so we can automatically match attributes and whatever is possible to do automatically without human touch. This microservice architecture allowed us to be efficient. So as you can see, it's a huge warehouse and huge number of products that we have in the system. So with microservice approach, PIM is responsible for managing, preparing the data, while in the same time Magento is focusing on sales of the products.
So one of the other features that's critical for our business is for the clients to know exactly what it is we have in the warehouse. Of course, years ago, clients would call up and say, we need some purple t-shirts or orange sweatshirts, and our sales reps would give them the answer. In our previous system, we had some availability, but we really wanted to get the online stock availability right so that clients can completely skip the personal sales process and see for themselves exactly what's in stock, of what size, color, shape, model number, brand, etc. And that is immensely important in our industry and for our system to deliver.
So looking at the implementation, what we achieved, so we've got the live information about the stock we have in the warehouse. But not only this, we are also integrated with the external resources, and we are presenting what is the stock available within 3 days. So in this way, customers can make their decision whenever they have an urgent order. They can make an urgent order based on the stock that is here at Lynka warehouse, but also they're able to see how fast Lynka can get the products in order to fulfill and produce the bigger order.
Okay, so the next part of the order process for the customer is, of course, the pricing. So the pricing model at Lynka is quite complex because of the number of items we have, where the price varies by quantity. So one piece obviously costs more than 1,000 pieces. It varies by the print technique. So if it's embroidery or screen print or digital printing, those are different prices for the technique. And at the end, there's an incredible number of variations of how the price could work. And our system had to be able to calculate for the client online automatically the price based on volume, number of colors, type of decoration, type of shirt. Here's a nice white t-shirt which our friends at Energylandia wants, and we need to give them a price online so they know at the time of order exactly what they're getting.
So the challenge with the implementation was that with such a complex pricing, with such a complex calculation, we had to be able to do this calculation live. So depending on the product that the customer has chosen, the number of products, the number of decoration, the price is changing in the real life. So continuing this microservice approach, we have a separate dedicated price server that is responsible for the calculation. So just for the imagination, one product with full design, with all the discounts and everything, can have up to 90,000 different prices, and it's only one single product. So it was a big challenge not to overload Magento with all the calculation, so the customer can make the purchase, but having a separate dedicated system that was doing the calculation in the back and providing Magento on request the details, what will be the price, what will be the cost of the decoration, and what is the final thing that the customer has to pay for.
So one of the essentials of corporate clothing, promotional clothing, is the image itself that's printed on the garment. In a historical way, we would get clients send us a file, we would have our art department prepare it, send it back to the client. When we started our project, we talked to Borys and Strix about automating this process so that the client could do the design work themselves. So if you look over my shoulder, you see lots of different designs. Each project, each order always begins with the concept of a design. So we wanted to design a tool where the client can completely design the shirt himself, put text on, change the scaling of it, and we called it Image Club.
So the challenge was on one side to prepare the tool where a user can really finish and prepare the final designs. So put it in the right location, put it in the right site, but also in the back to do all the calculation of the costs. So something we are proud of is that we're able to prepare such a design, but also calculate the colors, the size of it, in case of embroidery, number of stitches, number of colors, and provide the customer with the final price he has to pay for this particular design to be implemented and printed on the product finally. So the customer not only is choosing the product, but also preparing the design, and at the end he receives the price for the product, for the design, and for the preparation, so he can complete an online order and pay for the products.
And for our example order with Energylandia, this is the image that they want to have printed on a shirt. The technology here is called print on demand. It's a form of digital printing by a machine called Kornit. And this is really changing the game in promotional and imprinted apparel, because you can do very small orders, even single piece orders, completely online without any sales or customer service interaction. The client orders a shirt, designs it themselves, and an hour later we could be printing it on the machine in a fluid process from A to Z. And this is the wave of the future in our industry. And a Magento platform was an essential part of us getting into this part of the business. Okay, so we're almost done with our order for Energylandia shirts. Here's the shirt hot off the press. It's still a little bit warm. And now the question is, how does the client want it shipped and how much it's going to cost? And that's the last thing our system does for us.
Yes, so we have a full integration with various carriers. So we're calculating the shipping and providing the customer with the final price of the shipping. So he can complete an order, he can make an online payment with paying with credit card or paying with the credit that he has with Lynka, and completely make an order and receive the estimation when the product finally will be delivered to the customer. So is Energylandia going to receive it exactly at the time when they need it?
They better.
So John, looking at this project was a huge challenge, some change on your side, a lot of technological challenges that we had. What does it mean for the company like yours, this digital transformation, selecting the right platform and changing the way the customers are making the purchase?
Yeah. So this was the biggest project that Lynka has had cost-wise in the last 5 years. It's a major investment into the future. We're looking at it truly revolutionizing our business. This is our first year of running with it, and of course it is the COVID year, so it's a bit of an anomaly in terms of normal business behavior, but we can see a steady increase in the volume of clients who are ordering online. And we frankly see within 2 years getting to 50% of our business all online. And after that, I think up to 80, 90% or more. So this is truly about revolutionizing transforming our business for the future. And I think we still have a lot of work to go. We called it Mission Impossible, not as a joke, because it's truly a complex project which can go for many years, but we think it's really going to put us in a leadership position in the industry.
Yeah, I confirm it is a very challenging project. And on the other hand, looking at Magento, which we selected for this project, is that Magento, with its flexibility, we were able to customize it, as you see, with very modern architecture of microservices. So we have a separate PIM, we have Magento as a sales platform, we have a price server, we have an external iClub application that is responsible for the design. We managed to build a very advanced solution that supports Lynka with their online transformation.